sick of her, and just afore the baby was born he gin her $500 and left her." A murmur of surprise ran round the room, accompanied with a look of incredulity, which Grandma Nichols quickly divined, and while her withered cheek crimsoned at the implied disgrace, she added in an elevated tone of voice, "It's true as the Bible. Old Father Blanchard's son that used to preach here married them, and Helene brought us a letter from him saying it was true. Here 'tis. Read it yourselves, if you don't believe me." And she drew from a side drawer a letter on the back of which the villagers recognized the well-remembered handwriting of their former pastor. This proof of Helena's innocence was hardly relished by the clever gossips of Oakland, for the young girl, though kind-hearted and gentle, was far too beautiful to be a general favorite. Mothers saw in her a rival for their daughters, while the daughters looked enviously upon her clear white brow and shining chestnut hair, which fell in wavy curls about her neck and shoulders. 2 years before our story opens she had left her mountain home to try the mysteries of millinery in the city, where a distant relative of her mother was living. Here her uncommon beauty attracted much attention, drawing ere long to her side a wealthy young Southerner, who, just freed from the restraints of college life, found it vastly agreeable making love to the fair Helena. Simple-minded and wholly unused to the ways of the world, she believed each word he said, and when at last he proposed marriage she not only consented, but also promised to keep it a secret for a time, until he could in a measure reconcile his father, who he feared might disinherit him for wedding a penniless bride. "Wait, darling, until he knows you," said he, "and then he will gladly welcome you as his daughter." Accordingly, one dark wintry night, when neither moon nor stars were visible, Helena stole softly from her quiet room at Mrs. Warren's, and in less than an hour was the lawful bride of Harry Rivers, the wife of the clergyman alone witnessing the ceremony. "I wish I could take you home at once," said young Rivers, who was less a rascal than a coward. "I wish I could take you home at once, but it cannot be. We must wait a while." So Helena went back to Mrs. Warren's, where for a few weeks she stayed, and then, saying she was going home, she left and became the mistress of a neat little cottage which stood a mile or two from the city. Here for several months young Rivers devoted himself entirely to her happiness, seeming to forget that there was aught else in the world save his "beautiful Lena," as he was wont to call her. But at last there came a change. Harry seemed sad and absent-minded, though ever kind to Helena, who strove in vain to learn the cause of his uneasiness. One morning, when later than usual she awoke, she missed him from her side, and on the table near her lay a letter containing the following: "Forgive me, darling, that I leave you so abruptly. Circumstances render it necessary, but be assured I shall come back again. In the meantime you had better return to your parents, where I will seek you. Enclosed are $500, enough for your present need. Farewell. H. Rivers." There was one bitter cry of hopeless anguish, and when Helena Rivers again awoke to perfect consciousness, she lay in a darkened room, soft footsteps passed in and out, kind faces, in which were mingled pity and reproach, bent anxiously over her, while at her side lay a little tender thing, her infant daughter, 3 weeks old. And now there arose within her a strong desire to see once more her childhood's home, to lay her aching head upon her mother's lap, and pour out the tale of grief which was crushing the life from out her young heart. As soon, therefore, as her health would permit, she started for Oakland, taking the precaution to procure from the clergyman who had married her a letter confirming the fact. Wretched and weary, she reached her home at the dusk of evening, and with a bitter cry fell fainting in the arms of her mother, who, having heard regularly from her, never dreamed that she was elsewhere than in the employ of Mrs. Warren. With streaming eyes and trembling hands the old man and his wife made ready the spare room for the wanderer, more than once blessing the fearful storm which for a time at least would keep away the prying eyes of those who, they feared, would hardly credit their daughter's story. And their fears were right, for many of those who visited them on the night of which we have spoken disbelieved the tale, mentally pronouncing the clergyman's letter a forgery got up by Helena to deceive her parents. Consequently, of the few who from time to time came to the old farmhouse, nearly all were actuated by motives of curiosity rather than by feelings of pity for the young girl mother, who, though feeling their neglect, scarcely heeded it. Strong in the knowledge of her own innocence, she lay day after day watching and waiting for one who never came. But at last, as days glided into weeks and weeks into months, hope died away, and turning wearily